The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 9, titled Look for the Light, and this is the final episode of Season 1 of The Last of Us. And a lot of people were a little bit worried about this one, knowing about the one time, knowing it was going to be the shortest episode of the entire show in general. Is this entire season, the final episode was going to be the shortest episode in a maximum of 43 minutes. Well, we had 75-minute episodes and 60-minute episodes and 85-minute episodes. The final episode is 43 minutes, and everyone felt like might be a bit, there's a lot to unpeel here. I'm worried that they might be rushing it and just go through the motions, like this happens, just so we can get to the through line, to the end scene. And honestly, I'm watching this episode, I'm like, wait, this was 43 minutes long? Feels like it felt a very filling, it felt very filling. It felt like I was watching a 53-minute episode versus 43. It kind of shows that a length of an episode does not matter. It's all about how you handle and what's in your episode and how you're thinking of telling those elements out through it. Look, the only element that I could see them adding actually 5 minutes would be Joel shooting up the place. Where Joel is like, nope, Ellie's not dying, as he says in part 2, the Lord has given me a second chance, and I will do it again and again and again and again. Him slaughtering the fireflies. Yeah, that's how I could see you could add a couple of more minutes in there. If you want to go the full action hero route, which clearly they didn't. They didn't want to go the action hero route. They wanted to go for the horror route. The idea of just some nut job with a machine gun shooting up the place, and knowing that this guy is going to try to not have hope. This is the guy who's trying to not able to have the apocalypse having an end date, where life in a way can go back in a somewhat normal. And they went for that, the music's very dim, the sound effects are kind of dimmed down, it's very echoey, it's all that, and it's able to capture attention and basically just get that sense of hey, remember episode 1, we all yay, Joel! Episode 9, fuck Joel. And of course, us gamers, we know what's coming up and what happens in the second game. Joel, we know you might fucking deserve it. You might deserve it. But this episode, I was glued to, I was thrilled by, I was invested by. I mean, even by the opening, I would say 5 minutes, where we're doing with Anna, who's played by Ashley Johnson, who was Ellie in the game. So in a way, it's a meta way of Ellie gave birth to Ellie. There's a level of emotional tension where she's having Ellie in her arms and she's kind of crying, and there's two sets of emotions because she realized she just got bitten. She realizes that she brought a human being into the world, but at the same time, she realizes she's unable to see her child grow up. And the moment that stuff happens, that moment's happening. And the moment you have her going to Marley and saying, take care of Ellie, and can you just, I don't want to turn in one of these things, just, shoot me. You just, I was emotionally engaged for the entire thing. And the performance is great, Pablo Pastel is great as Joel in this episode. You have, Belly Ramsey, who's, playing Ellie, who's still affected by this from the events, unsafe, so still affected from this stuff from last week's episode, is amazing and all great. I'm just, the one thing I was like, from the game they didn't do, it was like the whole Joel having Ellie in his arms, running around the hospital, and everyone's like, I can say what, and rushing to running towards the elevator. You know what I mean? And the music starts playing. I don't know. There's something for me. I'm like, that could be a very. I thought, that's a. But yeah, we got all those moments that we have. We have the giraffe moment. We had, basically. I mean, it's a very faithful section of that part of the ending. The ending's like, what, 95% accurate. It's pretty good. And this whole show is, I mean, it's not saying much, but it is the greatest video game adaptation ever. And, like, talking about the show as a whole, I'm being thrilled and excited and just willing to just talk about this entire thing, this entire episode, this entire show. And knowing it's based on a video game, and, you have that sense of, identification because there's a horrible track record. And they're able to do it. This show's going to win Emmys. This is going to win awards, Golden Globes, and Emmys, and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be a big thing. It's going to be a huge. But there's some hinting, there's some hinting to what's to come, because it kind of lingered on a certain person's face a little bit too long to hint like, yeah, something's going to come back to haunt Joel for a bit. But yeah, it's just this whole episode, like, I just finished watching it and I'm just like, this is great. This is absolutely great. Now, for all those people, for all you non-gamers who are like, what's you want a season 2, right? And you want to know what happens. Well, all I will say, it is a little bit more dimmer. Where it's more darker, a more emotional story. Some things happen that might piss even the average goer off. No, it will not piss off the average goer, but it will piss us as gamers again. Or at least a few people. Abby is a great character. And Joel's a big fan of golf. He likes, he meets basically what it is, he meets this girl named Abby. And Abby teaches Joel golf. Joel has never, played golf before. He's like, okay, Abby, show me how to play golf. And she does a better swing towards the ball. But anyway, it is part 2. I will say is a more better, because this entire season is the retelling of the first game. So naturally, the second season will be the second game, and it is more. I personally think part 2 is a better story than part 1. I know that's bloody controversial. But I don't care. Part 2 is a better story than part 1. Gotcha.
You really gonna go through with this?
I'm gonna find, and I'm gonna kill every last one of them.